Hi everyone, I'm here. Welcome to my channel. Life in the Middle Ages is usually associated with images of kings dining on roasted swan and peasants toiling in the fields. However, the reality of the average medieval peasant's life was much different than the popular imagination might suggest. While noble feasts were extravagant affairs, the reality of food for the common folk was a lot more humble. So what did medieval peasants actually eat? Well, let's find out. The Middle Ages lasted for 1,000 years, roughly from the 5th to the 15th century. And during this period, Europe experienced a variety of climates and environments, from the chilly north to the warmer south, as well as rural villages and bustling towns, so there wasn't one single peasant diet. Rather, food for the common folk varied depending on where they lived and the season of the year. But despite these differences, there were some common threads among the meals of medieval peasants. Medieval peasants subsisted mainly on a diet of locally sourced ingredients, meaning that their meals would have been dictated by what grew or was raised near their homes. Cereals such as wheat, barley, rye, oats, and spelt were staples in many peasant diets. These grains were used to make bread, the staff of life during the Middle Ages. But not all bread was created equal. Peasant bread was typically denser, darker, and heavier than what we are used to today because it was often made with less refined flour and sometimes mixed with other ingredients like sawdust, plaster, bones, and the bodies of small animals which would get caught in the thresher while harvesting crops. The quality of bread could also vary depending on how much grain was available. During good harvest seasons, bread could be softer and lighter, while during leaner times it became harder and more dense. This is why you'll often hear descriptions of characters in medieval literature biting into crusty, hard-to-chew loaves to soften the bread. They would often soak it in beer or milk or stew before eating. In addition to bread, dairy products like cheese and butter were common in many peasant diets, especially in areas where farming was prevalent. Milk from goats, sheep, or cows would be turned into cheese, a more easily transportable and longer-lasting source of nutrition. Butter was also made from milk and used not only for flavoring, but also for preserving other foods. Then there were eggs and poultry, while meat was a rare treat. For peasants, they often had access to eggs and sometimes chickens or ducks. Chickens were relatively easy to raise and provided a consistent source of protein for those who lived in areas where hunting was permitted. Wild game like rabbits and squirrels could supplement the diet. Fish was also an important source of protein for many medieval peasants. Those who lived near rivers or lakes could catch fish to supplement their diets, especially during times of the year when other foods were in short supply. Salt was often used to preserve fish and make it last longer. Fruits and vegetables also played an important role in the medieval peasant diet. Seasonal fruits like apples, pears, and plums were enjoyed when in season, while vegetables like cabbage, onions, carrots, and turnips were grown in gardens or in the wild. Peas and beans were also important sources of protein and fiber. As we mentioned earlier, medieval peasants often ate 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and supper. Breakfast was usually a light meal consisting of bread, cheese, and ale, eaten quickly before starting work in the fields. Lunch was often a larger meal eaten during the midday break, which may have included bread, cheese, fruit, or vegetables, as well as perhaps a small amount of meat if available. Supper was the main meal of the day. Even after returning from work in the fields, it may have consisted of a thick stew or soup made with whatever ingredients were available, such as vegetables, dairy, or meat. In conclusion, the medieval peasant diet consisted of a variety of locally sourced ingredients, including bread, dairy, eggs, poultry, fish, fruits, and vegetables. While their meals may have seemed monotonous to us today, they provided the necessary sustenance to keep people alive and working throughout the day. It is also important to note that the availability and variety of ingredients could differ greatly depending on where the peasant lived and the time of year. The medieval peasant diet was shaped by necessity, seasonality, and location. Despite the challenges of living in a time of food scarcity and spoilage, peasants found ways to make the most of what they had available to them. By understanding the medieval peasant diet, we gain a deeper appreciation for the challenges they faced and the resourcefulness they displayed. In the face of adversity, what do you think? Would you be able to survive on a medieval peasant's diet? Let us know in the comments below. The Forgotten Feast of Medieval Kings and Queens. Now, if you're interested in seeing what the royalty ate, check out the series in the description or cards. Thanks for watching. Bye.